fees and then reduce people's taxes. Nobody complained about the communication being bad. Nobody.
Right. But kind of like Mark was alluding to, you know, the incident like this weekend, we could have done a better job of getting that information out to the people, you know, when we found that there was a glitch in the system, is reporting it to, you know, sending out an email. You know, those kinds of things that happen, that come up, that like, hey, mistakes happen, you know, or things happen, but then, you know, admitting it and putting it out there. You know, people spend hours trying to get in to schedule their conferences. I don't know if you've heard this.
It was all over Facebook.
Yeah, and spent hours trying to put it in, and the coding was different. It was last name first instead of first name.
It was all over.
You know, it was just because of communication amongst the public that they were able to figure it out. And I think that we should have sent out an email blast after we figured simple things like that. And is a PR firm going to be able to do or tell us to do this? I mean, no, but could we have improved and done a better job? Absolutely. It's again, it's not a. I mean, it was major to some people, obviously.
When something like that happens, like, because I knew right away, because I read it, I was thinking, should I contact John McAtee or should I send? You know, I mean, what do you do in that situation? Like, because I knew clearly people were struggling with that.
I can just tell you, whenever I've heard anything in the community
it's on a weekend.
that I think is going to resonate.
What's that?
Mark.
Leave a message. Yeah.
But it's a weekend.
Which one is that? Which one is that?
Do you check it on the weekend? You know how STI wasn't, like, they were supposed to schedule middle school conferences this past weekend, and people on Facebook were like, I can't get in, I've been trying for hours, and all these people are chiming in, and I'm like,
I mean, and
should I contact somebody? I don't know.
And truly, that is what I.
It's up now.
Well, no, we had that was, but that's kind of like I actually brought the letter that parents received, because we received it. We tried going on Saturday morning, and I could go through that letter and point out 5 things that are effectively wrong with it. And so a letter went out, so quantity occurred, quality, you know. It's like, and that's my point. And it's like, okay, I understand contact Mark, all right, but if we're going to roll out an IT solution, either have a help desk available or don't roll it out on a Saturday.
Mm-hmm. And when you find it, send out an email blast or a phone call or something, you know, the phone blast. Someone,
if we're rolling it out, because it went out and said, hey, it's going to be up midnight, you know, Friday night, Saturday morning, someone should have gone on, tested it, not with admin rights, but with user rights, found out it wasn't working, and immediately sent out a blast, said, hey, it's not working, it won't be up till whenever. But that's where I'm talking about. Letter went out, okay, so quantity occurred, quality was lacking.
Well, like I said, mistakes happen, or it happens, you know, it continuously happens, and, you know, someone's going to take the fall for it, someone's going to take the blame. I'm not looking to point blame, I'm saying, but to fix it right away, once it came to someone's attention, it should have been an email blast or a phone call.
But like you said, you know, the fact that it happened on a weekend, how do you bring it to somebody's attention?
Who do you call?
Well,
there was a name on there.
Oh, I don't get it, because I don't have middle schooler, but
there was a name on there. It said, call this person. You call that person. You don't even get an extension, so you have to dial by name once you make the number, and then the person's not there.
Because it's a Saturday.
So so that's my point of, you know, it just, there's enough. And I mean, it seems to me, you know, to Karen kind of brought it up a second ago with what she said. I'm not looking to point out blame. What I am trying to do is get away from writing 2 letters for every one. Mm-hmm. The initial letter and then the apology for what was missing. And it seems like that's what we write for everything we communicate, is 2 letters for every one.
You know, it's nothing. A PR firm's not going to help us with that. That's something we need to work out. Right. I don't think we need to spend the time or money on a PR firm. I think that's something that we should be able to work out here.
Right, that's just a professional letter. I mean,
I would have liked to have received a letter, even though I don't have a child, just so that I know. So if someone contacts me and says, what do I do? So I could kind of say, well, let me see, let me pull that up, you know, because I had no idea how to do that, because I didn't get the letter, because I don't have children that go to the middle school yet. You didn't get a letter, and you guys didn't get a letter. You don't have kids. Calls. Just you guys.
All right, so if we can go back to the topic that we were on, you know, specifically as far as the audit. Again, can we move forward on this, not necessarily to secure one, but to get additional information?
Sure. Yes. And if they'll come out and do a dog and pony show for a few minutes for no obligation, sure, why not?
And then Mark, if it turns out that they won't come out to a board meeting or they won't come out to make a presentation, and instead it's gonna have to be more Q&A from you, if you can let the board know that, and they can get any questions.
Yeah, we'll
that they have.
contact and see what, you know, they're willing to offer. When people come out, typically, there's gonna be some costs in there, but we'll see.
Are you gonna contact both agencies or just the one?
I'd like to get information from both.
Okay, so maybe they both can
But
come out and present.
the statewide is more of an informal process, and I think the board, from what I'm hearing, is interested in a more formal and in-depth. So we'll get more information and pass that on to the board, and we can decide if that's something we want to do.
Okay. All right, out of the remaining bullets, is there, pardon me, one in particular people want to jump to?
Might as well just go right through it.
Okay, reestablish communication committee to review current communication procedures.
I think that's a good idea. I think that's a good idea, and I think we should broaden that. I think we should put some staff on there, some parents on there. I think we should, you know, kind of like you know, just a wealth of knowledge, not just a few board members.
But do we want to reinvent the wheel, I guess, is, you know, certainly I think to have a subgroup maybe, we talked about this before, go over what we've accomplished, which we saw here, and where we want to go. But I think as a group, don't we want to do that? As a group, kind of figure out our goals first, where
Yeah, right.
the procedures, current communication procedures, what does that really mean? You know, what task do we want to give to this committee, per se?
Yeah, I
That's
agree.
where I'm struggling right now.
Right.
I don't know what that would be. So I almost feel like establishing a committee would be almost premature
Right.
until we know what it is we're doing.
What we're doing.
Well, why don't we put in the committee? I think we already had a couple board members say they wanted to be on it, so why don't we put in that committee and have, because they are made up of board members currently, so maybe at this initial step, don't go out and get the general audience. Perhaps that would be a next step for a subcommittee of that group, and have that committee of the board members come back and say, I mean, we've all been on enough or in the community enough to say, to be able to intelligently put together a list and say, here's the things that we'd like to address, and then have the board say, okay, yeah, go out and do that, and for bullet points 4 and 5, you're gonna need a subcommittee, so, you know, at that point, maybe get the teacher, staff, et cetera, just to get the ball rolling.
That's a good idea.
As opposed to, I mean, you know.
I think that makes sense, right? It's always, I mean, you could ask the board to come up with what do we think this ought to be, and we'll spend a lot of time, I think, floundering around and floating different ideas. Having a couple people come up with spending some concentrated time formulating that same thing as a proposal. It's easier to react to something than it is to come up with something. So I think your suggestion makes sense.
And then afterwards, some of those may require that subcommittee that you're referring to.
And when I say subcommittee, I sort of mean like a focus, you know, like bounce it off parents and or teachers, and is this too much trouble, you know, or
Well, maybe
whatever.
the first thing this group could do is review the audit process. See whether that's a feasible thing to do.
The audit process that you...
No, we would collect the research and...
and then...
Well, if I hear what Mark's suggesting, I want to put words in your mouth. What I hear you suggesting is to have that committee first try to more clearly define the objective for what, you know, what it is that we're trying to achieve.
Right. I mean, you hit it on the head earlier when you said, okay, we're here, so something obviously must be wrong. I mean, correct. You know, there's obviously a concern, or we wouldn't have a dedicated meeting to communication. So then, you know, and I've, you know, blurted out my concern. My concern was the quality versus quantity, okay? Others may feel something different, and that's fine, but maybe get an idea of those issues or some specifics and you know, with which to start from. They can certainly take a look at that audit item as well. They can certainly do that, but don't stop there. Don't stop there. Right. So in essence, you're going out, and this is a dangerous term, but you're almost going out finding the problem with which to have a solution for.
So if we reestablish the committee, what charge are we giving them?
To come up with some goals.
Yeah, I think to propose an objective back to the board to the full board to
What do you-
react